My name is Olafur Eliasson, and I'm at my studio here in Berlin. And last year I had a group of pretty amazing thinkers and activists come by talking with me about interdependence, connectivity, and the sort of empathy and the basis for compassion. And one of the things we quickly looked into was breathing, the awareness around breathing, and how does it feel to breathe, and how does that affect you, your sort of understanding of yourself and your understanding of the person next to you and basically the world. We recorded these conversations, some of them, and I've thrown together a little film with some of the clips that I want to share with you.
When I take a deep breath, I feel more at home in myself and at home at the planet. To feel at home is to be relaxed, to feel that you have the right to be here, that you are part of this, that you are a native of this planet. That is what every deep breath tells me.
What feature or what process is something that unifies all of us? And the first thing that we do when we come out of our mother's womb is we take a breath. And the last thing that we do when we die is the breath runs out of our body.
I think built into the whole idea of take a deep breath is the whole idea of a pause. And I think that, we've heard that expression from the time that we were kids, that take a pause and almost calm yourself. I also think that taking a breath is a real way to check in with yourself, with what's going on with you, because the kind of deep breath that you take at one moment could be very shallow compared to the deep breath that you take at another moment. And it shows you, the quality of your breath shows you the quality of your anxiety or your calmness or your happiness, and it really unifies you with your body so that you really become aware of where you are physically and how you are mentally.
The breath is it's a hinge or a place where the mind and body sort of meet and swing back and forth. When you bring some kind of awareness or attention to the breath, then it connects to all sorts of other things that you might miss. It connects to an awareness of the thoughts that you're having. If you bring in an intent to it that's to connect with others, you could say an intent of empathy, to really connect with others and their particular life situations, then I think it is a stepping stone towards being able to work positively for various kinds of change. In and of itself, of course, it's not enough. But I think with the right intention, it opens us up to others in an empathetic way, and that this is really, in a way, the place from which we have to act. If we act from a selfish place, from our own interests exclusively, then that's not acting on behalf of somebody else. That's acting for your own gain. So I like to think of it as a stepping stone or as a bridge with proper intent into empathy. And empathy is then the basis for something like compassion or action for the sake of somebody else.
So I always breathe. If I would stop breathing, I would be dead. But I guess if I'm consciously breathing, I'm stopping with what was before. There's a break. When you breathe, we know that this activates a part of the brain which is actually called interoceptive cortex. So it really creates a link between a part of the brain, which is very, mind, and the body, because it's directly represented in your brain. And so it's clothing this circle. And this interoceptive cortex, this insular cortex, is also the base for empathy. It's also the part of the brain which is necessary to tune into other people, into what they feel, into resonance, affective resonance. So I think there is a deep link between feeling your own body and feeling the body of another person. But the interesting thing is, if we do brain research and we can scan the brains and the activity of the brain of people who, for example, empathize with the pain of another, you see that they activate parts of this pain matrix when another person is in pain, even though they don't feel something in the moment, just synchronize the feeling with the other. And that happens very quickly like this. So that means that we are in resonance with other people anyway, much more than we think. So we have a biological mechanism and principle which brings us into an interdependence with other being, which we are not aware of. And so breathing, I have not done any research on breathing, but it will be probably exactly the same. It's the same mechanism. And that brings us biologically, basically, into this kind of interdependence and interconnectedness, which we are not aware and which probably our Western society has also not emphasized a lot. Individualism was very much emphasized, but this kind of basic principle of interdependence of being has been forgotten. And the field I'm working in, social neuroscience, is rediscovering slowly by slowly that it's actually not even some kind of funny philosophical concept, but that it's deeply ingrained in the biology of our brains and organisms.
As a Buddhist, taking a deep breath is in many ways the essence of our practice. For meditation, we take a deep breath and we're in the moment, and the real goal for it is just to be aware that you are there, you are in the moment, and to embrace it. And I think sometimes when you take a deep breath, you can actually feel the connection with the Congo or the Amazon, and you can, that sense of self that we have, this idea that this is me and this is I, and the amount of importance we give to that could just go away and we become part of something much larger. And that's the power of taking a deep breath. Degradation and devastation that's happening, whether it's environmental or social or in terms of war, so much of it happens because there is a mindlessness to it, and there is maybe an inability to see what the impacts of our actions are, And so I think in that sense, that in itself is very important. But I think if we're collectively taking a deep breath with the idea that we're building empathy for each other and that we're creating a collective consciousness or a collective will to create a better world, a more balanced world, a more sustainable world, that, again, to me, that is incomparable.
When somebody takes a deep breath, I think there is something like a pause in the usual trend of his life or her life, which is to go further on and to reach a certain aim. Whereas when somebody takes a deep breath, there is a sort of stop in this rush, and somebody suddenly realizes where he or she is. It can change you because it gives you the freedom to change. You are just, usually you are connected with all the purposes of other people, you have a certain role in society, and so on and so on. But then, as soon as you have taken a deep breath, you are connected with a place in which every possibility can be developed. In fact, taking a deep breath has two phases. It has the first phase, it's inspiration. It's capturing something inside us, trying to master that, trying to take this for ourselves. But it has also second phase. The second phase is expiration, exhalation. And in exhalation, we give something. We give our breath to the unknown, to the space which is open in front of us. And in this act, we are fully ready to accept other people standpoint and to communicate with them. So I think it's a very powerful moment.
And then there's this gap, there's this kind of fascinating pause that comes at the end of an inhale. And it's this space where everything drops away when you're giving it attention. It's very subtle, but it's a moment of actual liberation. It's not when you're gripped in the inhale at the end of it, but it's more that gap that opens up just before the breath that is given. And mindfulness of the breath, or bringing our attention to the breath, is a very powerful way for us to become more grounded. So our ability to actually bring attention to our breath is a way for us to develop attentional balance, but also affective resonance or empathy with the world around us, and also to compassion.